Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Auto Amateur. I'm James, and in this episode, we are going to be changing out the spark plugs here in my Porsche 911 991.2. Let's go check it out. Back in the Auto Amateur garage here for another DIY video. So, spark plugs. This is a job that I've been really excited to do, not just with this car, but for the other 3 or 4 911s I've owned over the years, but I've never really plucked up the courage to do. I'm finally doing it here with this 991.2, and actually I've got to say, once you get to the spark plugs, the job is a lot less stressful and scary than it might appear to be. Now, I know that there are videos out there that show you how to do this without removing the bumper and the intercooler housings, and you kind of shove your hand up there and get lots of cuts and scrapes as you try and get, a bit of leverage out of the inch of space that you have to undo the screw and pull out the coil pack. I am not that guy. I want a straight shot into the cylinders, and therefore in this video you're going to be seeing me removing the bumper and the spoiler and the hoses to the airbox and the intercooler housing. I just want that straight line of sight into the cylinders. Now, if you're interested in that, of course, you can watch the whole DIY video. If you just want to cut straight to it and get to the spark plugs, then check out this time index here, which I'll put up in the video later, and you can just jump straight to the job. Now, before we get into that job, let's go take a quick look at some of the tools that we're going to be using just for the spark plugs part itself. I call it out in the video, but we'll take a quick look and then we'll just get straight into the job. So here we go, pretty straightforward. I need a flashlight because the job gets into a couple of difficult spots where natural light isn't going to help you. I've got a trim tool here to help take off the electrical clips that are connected to the coil packs. You're going to need a T30 socket. You're going to need some wiggle extenders, some wobble extenders, and of course some wrenches. But you are going to need a specialty socket, which you can see here. And the spark plugs for the 991 are a different size to the 997 and the 996. So you are going to need to invest about $10 in this specialty socket, which also is magnetic. So once you've got the spark plugs unloosened, you can then pull it out easily. And then you're also going to need a little bit of dielectric grease. You can see here, this is something that I bought a while ago. This has actually been helping me over the years. You only need a tiny bit to put on the tips of the spark plugs that face out of the engine, not the tips that go into the engine. And that's about it. For this job, we're going one step further than just removing the bumper cover because we need access to these hoses connected to the air box so that they can come away when we take out the intercoolers. Okay, now I've got the heat shielding off and this hose here, which was super easy to pull off. You can now see the 1, 2, 3 coil packs, which cover the spark plugs on this side of the engine. It's exactly the same on the other side. The heat shield is slightly different, but it's still just a couple of screws and it comes off. Now I've got to remove these T30 screws, disconnect the wiring harnesses connected to each coil pack, and then pull out the coil packs themselves. And the first time they come out after being in for a while, they take quite a bit of effort and you hear them pop because there's suction that kind of keeps them in place. But once they come out, very easy to go back in. Again, just, take your time, be careful, and here we go. Once you've unclipped the electrical plug, you can then pull out the coil pack. They do take quite a bit of force and you'll hear a pop when they come out. At certain points, you might feel like the spark plugs are getting tighter instead of looser. Don't worry, just endure and you'll get them out. All right, so here's the first spark plug that has come out of the car. And let's just do a quick comparison. You can see the difference between the old one and the new one. It's been clean. One thing to note is that the ones from Bosch here that I got from FCP Euro, they've been pre-gapped. So they are set up exactly the way they need to go in. There is nothing you need to do other than just what we're gonna do in a second here, which is put a little bit of dielectric grease on the tip here on the bottom. But this is the bit which goes into the engine. Don't touch that. Keep that clean. And that's going to go back in and twist in. But yeah, first off, they're the differences between a used plug and a new plug. So for the new plug, we're going to get just a little bit of this dielectric grease, and we're going to just run a little bit around the tip here. Protects from corrosion, protects from damage. And it's just gonna help everything work. So there we go. Nice bit of grease around the tip. And that's now ready to go back in the car. It's really important here to note that you've got to keep the end of the spark plug that's going into the cylinder clean. And here I'm using the cardboard covers that came with the spark plugs and just taking them off as the spark plugs are going into the car. Another important point to note is that the torque specs are different depending on whether you're putting the old plugs back in or the new plugs. If you're actually putting the old plugs back in, you want to torque them to 19 foot-pounds. Be really careful as you tighten these screws. They do have a tendency to snap. Make sure you're torquing it to the right spec. That's it for this first cylinder. Now just repeat for the other 5 and you are good to go. Well guys, thanks for checking in. That's been another DIY video here at Auto Amateur. Lots of exciting things to come. You might be able to see behind me, I've got some Soul Performance cat bypass pipes as well as the headers, and I'm finally going to get around to installing those things in the next couple of weeks. The first video, or at least the next video in my exhaust lineup, will be comparing the cat bypass with the cat sport cats and seeing what the difference is there. Then we'll get on the headers, and then we're gonna have a full end-to-end Soul exhaust to compare against all of the different stages that we've done. I don't know what to do with my hands. All the way along. So those 2 videos got coming up, and then I'll be getting to lowering springs, and then I'm gonna be putting in yellow seat belts, and then I don't know what I'm gonna be doing after that, but I'll think of something. Like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Tell your friends, your family, even get your dogs watching because they like and watch YouTube. See you in another video soon. Bye.